Denny jumped the final restart.
This is a freaking debacle we're in now because Josh Wise thought he'd chime in and say, oh, it's a soft box. It ain't a hard box. You can still kind of go whenever you want. They're going to give you some leniency. And so I don't know how Josh interprets boxes these days, but when I look at a box, you have a firm in and a firm out. And I am on the fence here. Actually, I'm not on the fence. I know that Denny went before he was in the box. There's no doubt about it. He went early. When you watch Martin's in-car, he went early. When you watch the TV replay 5 minutes after the race was over, he went early. When you go back on my Twitter timeline right now, he went early. But we talk about this all the time. At the end of the day, Denny Hamlin kissed the girl, got the trophy, and went home the winner. So, man, NASCAR, I don't know, Freddie, man. What do you think? I'm hearing some crazy on NASCAR right now.
Listen, Denny's so great. He can form his own box if he wants to. You know what I mean? Like, he can go wherever the hell he wants. He could have took off in the middle of the backstretch for all I care. He took off early, right? I mean, I don't think there's a doubt in the mind that he took off early. Was there a reason?
We saw it.
Was there a reason he took off early?
So I don't think you can flag Denny for it because, you know, obviously SMT doesn't show the restart zone, so you can't tell. And leader fires first, so he's the leader of the race, so you can't tell. Obviously, he did fire first, but if you watch even Martin's in-car camera, Martin's laying back, and I don't blame. And if they go into turn one, Martin's getting ready to time that restart perfectly for the restart zone. Like, I mean, we go another half a car length. Martin's probably even with him at the line, and maybe even have a tire in front of him. If they go into the first corner, and Martin's got his left front in front of Denny's right front, Denny's not winning that race. So, it's just two guys, two veterans playing the game with each other, and we're supposed to be, when you come to that line, you're supposed to be even up. I mean, that's what they say all the time, even on the front row, right? Martin's not even. So I don't blame Denny for going early because Martin's creating an advantage for him as the P2 car, and if Denny gets into that restart zone at all, Martin's going to have it timed right.
So you're saying he laid back on that restart, causing Denny to almost jump
if you remember last year, I forget what track it was, but Denny was running third or fourth, new tires. Maybe it might have been Kansas when Reddick won. Somebody behind Denny was laying back, maybe Larson, and Denny tried to combat that by laying back with him. And it screwed him. Like, he ended up not getting a good restart. The guys in front of him got away, and it cost himself a chance to win the race. And at this point, I think a lot of times you'll hear, veteran drivers say, if you're the leader and you got the control car, if you're the control car, you want the advantage, go as early as you can because that gives you the control of the restart like you've earned. I feel like the later you wait in the box, unless you start playing games with slowing down and stuff,
that doesn't work.
You're inviting the guy to have a chance. The earlier you can go, the better. This was probably pushing it, but if he sees him laying back, he's not going to give him the opportunity to. What's going to happen is Martin's laying back so he can roll to the line with more speed.
Yeah,
than
1
Denny.
mile an hour faster is all it takes.
And then that's just only going to accelerate more and more as you get down further down the straightaway. So, if that's what he did to combat it, I don't have a problem with it. But at the same time, we have rules for a reason, and he definitely.
But if you're gonna flag Denny, do you flag? Yeah. You have to flag Martin.
That's my question. So I know NASCAR has tried to enforce laying back on restarts. Is that something where they just felt, both of them were almost at fault and they just let it go? Or is that something NASCAR should have really faulted them both?
It's possible. It's possible that but I don't know.
You're drawing a pretty hard line in the sand with laying back, and I think they're both at fault right here, and they both try to create an advantage for themselves, and one guy's mad it didn't work, and the other guy's happy it worked, and we're all sitting here looking at Denny and saying he jumped. But
are you self-policing this if you're NASCAR by disqualifying Denny Hamlin as the winner? Because y'all are fussing about Martin laying back. You're saying Denny went early. Two wrongs don't make a right. But the guy Joey Logano, who finished second, would be declared the winner if they had disqualified.
I think
Denny,
both wrongs
Martin
made a right.
Fixes himself.
Yeah.
Man, listen, I hear you from the world that we live in. You're saying it's okay that Martin laid back and it's okay that Denny went early and Denny Hamlin deserved a win. But as a fan watching on TV that has come over because you watched a Netflix show that does not think, a three-pointer is a three-pointer when the toe's on the line, Why do we have a box if we're not going to enforce going inside of the box? We have too many rules as it is. And we go back to what Caitlin Vincey said a year ago on our podcast, which is it's really hard to be a NASCAR fan to keep up with all the rules. If you're a fan and you're watching this on television, this is a missed call by NASCAR. I'm not saying they should or shouldn't have called it because, God Almighty, we opened up Pandora's box on these restarts. But it is a black and white zone, and he clearly went before the zone.
So if Martin does that, ends up getting the lead from it, do you black flag Martin after he wins the race from the outside, from laying back?
Well, what I stated was a fact, which is you said Martin was laying back. We all agreed Denny went early. If you black flag Denny for going early, it fixes itself. Martin isn't going to win the race because he finished third or fourth or wherever he was at, pissed off.
I think if Martin's door-to-door with him right there and Denny takes off early, I think they call it. But
yeah.
I think it was pretty obvious that Martin's laying back a little bit. And, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to.
Listen, dude, it's hard. You got 45 seconds from the time he goes. You don't even have 45 seconds. You got 30 seconds from the time he goes to say that he went too early and he's black flagged. And from what TV told us later, they never said the restart was under review. Was it under review on your NASCAR channel?
No, I don't know. I was three wide.
Yeah,
I wasn't listening to anybody. And like I said,
this is a sticky situation.
Martin Truex Jr.'s tantrum towards Hamlin and Larson was justified. Spot on, spot off, TJ.
I didn't really know what was going on. I looked down in turn one and I saw smoke. And I'm like still spotting at that point. I'm like, watch what's going on in front of you. I don't know what's usually when the checkered flag comes out, everyone just kind of slows down. And man, I was looking down there's smoke billowing and stuff. And I mean, he was mad. Martin probably should have won that race. I mean, I think that was more of his race to win the second half there. But some circumstances happened, and I think he feels like it got taken from him. Yeah. But that's racing.
I mean, I completely understand why. I saw him getting a lot of shit for being a crybaby and whatever last night.
I don't mind him being mad.
I was like, he should be mad. He was going to win the race. He was going to win the race. Then yellow comes out. He gets beat off pit road. Probably makes him madder. Denny jumps to start. Probably makes him madder. Then he goes into one, and the one thing I didn't agree with, or actually two things I didn't agree with him, I know he's just mad after the race and he's kind of venting. He's probably mad at Bubba. He's mad at Denny, whatever. But, he goes into one. If you watch the replay of the restart, they get and he's on Denny's quarter as tight as he can into one and running him kind of down the racetrack. And then Denny washes up into him. Well, like, what did you expect? Like, you've got him so low on entry. Like, I don't think he had a choice but to if you enter on the bottom of 1 and 2, especially driving through a little bit of wet patch down there against the wall, it's probably not going to go well. But then down the backstretch, he just hangs a left on Larson.
Yeah, it's a last lap. I'm saying.
Yeah, but then like last lap, he's down to come into the checker. He down the backstretch, he hangs a left on Larson. So Larson, like, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna run him in the fence down the front stretch, and he's mad about that too. So I know he's just mad and he's just angry at that point. But I also don't like running into people under the yellow or after the checker.
Afterwards.
Like, not afterwards. It's just not safe. You don't know who's got their belts undone, or I know they're not supposed to, but they do.
There's cars. I mean, if I'm on the inside of you and we go into turn one, I'm probably gonna wash up a little bit too.
That's why we talk about like
short track racing.
Yeah, short track racing. True's rule. I don't care what the lanes are. Which lanes better. If you give somebody the bottom on a green white checker to short track, you're asking for something like that to happen. And again, I didn't think it was so egregious that it didn't knock Martin back 5 rows.
That's why the restart is so important. That's why Martin laying back a little bit is so big, because if he gets a foot in front of Denny's tire, Denny can't, or even if they're dead even in the corner, Denny can't hit right front to left front. He'll wreck on the inside. So if Martin can create a little bit of advantage right there, like 1 foot, and he's going to beat Denny.
And to your point, if he does get that nose out event, like, what's he going to do? He's not going to give him room down there. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to be on his door as tight as he can.
Denny's going to have one car with him like 2 inches.
Yeah. So, it goes both ways, but I get why he's mad, because he's mad because of what happened with Bubba. He's mad because he was going to win the race.
Yeah.
And
I don't blame him.
Unnecessary caution came out. But then after that, that's just racing, I think.
Brett.
He had 3 things go really, really wrong. Bubba wrecked Larson. Man, I was even debating whether or not that was – well, it drew a caution, which I was literally sitting there watching, and I'm like, man, is this really caution-worthy? He spun him down. There's nobody in harm's way. He's continuing on. But nonetheless, that caution clearly brought out the pit scenario. Martin Truex didn't win the pit scenario. Martin Truex didn't win the restart scenario. Martin Truex didn't win any scenario that helped him win the race at the end after leading over 100 laps. So every single frustration that Martin Truex felt, he absolutely deserved to feel that way. I couldn't imagine being him as crew chief, his spotter. It sucks for his pit crew because obviously they got their butts kicked on pit road on that one stop. And, man, that's all it takes. I mean, there's Denny Hamlin riding around. Denny was running 18th early in the race. Nothing great. Next thing you know, you look up and he's sixth. Next thing you know, you look up and he's third. Boom, the caution comes out. Boom, he comes out with a lead, and it's like, man, this guy's home track. Good luck beating him, and you don't beat him. So Martin 100% deserves to feel the way he felt. Him and Larson in a pissing match was just all those things that mounted up. So that's what makes NASCAR great. That's what makes 49% of the people vote this was a good race because, I liked the race at Richmond. I thought it was an okay race. It wasn't any better than Phoenix, if I'm being honest with y'all. But that certainly helped people vote yes.
Two shout-outs. I always say that Denny's great. If I continue to say Denny's great, I'm going to have to say his pit crew is, I don't know, phenomenal, marvelous, terrific, whatever the adjective is. Their stops last night. The last stop was 8.69. It was like a second faster than Truex's. 9-1, 8-7, 8-7, 8-4, 8-8 were their competitive pit stops. Holy shit. Like, that's unbeatable, really. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then Gabehart, you talk about Denny running mid-pack. I think the 11 was the first one of the first ones to come in that state. When we were everybody's deciding whether it got, 2-stop or 1-stop, he was one of the first ones to come. So that jumped him some of the track position there. And then, I mean, he makes a call that not that I didn't agree with because he knows a hell of a lot more than I do. But, he stayed out long and, he pit probably 10 laps after us on that last pit stop. And I was like, man, I don't know. Is 10 laps really going to make a difference? And he hawked us down from over a straightaway back, went right by us, ran he ran Larson down, ran the leaders down, and then he kind of stalled out a little bit there. but I mean, just like he was going to run fourth or fifth and was easily going to run third. So I mean, great Gabehart just called a great race to put him in that position. The pit crew does an amazing job to get him to lead, and then he capitalizes on it.
You bring up a good point though right there, Freddie. Like Martin Truex essentially lost the lead of the race to Kyle Larson on pit road earlier in the night. And he went in, man, and just dive bombed him and retook the lead, which we didn't think was necessarily going to be easy given how important, clean air is there. So I think all those things just add to Martin's fire of why he was so upset. I mean, he was deservingly going to win the race until you read Kyle Larson. So congrats, Freddie, for the whole thing.
No, my bad.
Your point around pit crew members, obviously Denny and Martin are teammates. Is there drama or what is it like on the JGR side, like having to pick your pit crew members? And obviously Martin's probably not thrilled that his pit crew wasn't as quick as Denny, and I'm sure there's more to it between Ty and Christopher as well. How does that work?
I mean, I just think that them guys are clicking. You move parts and pieces around just like any other sport. Some guys, it's not always whatever it is. Denny's also the flagship guy over there. He's been there the longest. He's got the most wins, I think, I'm sure. So if you're seeding it and you got 4 great pit crews, I would imagine the best one goes to your guy that's been there the longest and goes down from there, however you want to do it. But I don't know that it's necessarily like the 5 best guys they got are Denny's guys. I think it's just the way they line up and click with each other. They were. I'm assuming these are the same guys as last year. I don't know that for a fact. But they weren't like this last year. But this team this year is unbelievable. Like they do it every week. It seems like. So for them to shine right here and get him to lead and him to capitalize on it just furthers the point of they've been easily the best pit crew on pit road this year.